Alright guys, welcome to Eden's Vine. It's a little chilly out here today, but that's not why I'm wearing this. I'm wearing this because later on I'm going to get on the tractor and I'm going to get a bunch of grease and stuff on me and my pants. So I'm sorry I'm not wearing my three-piece suit today, but I did promise you guys that I'd put on the sling and show you guys how, if you want, and your doctor, well, I didn't ask my doctor, but but if you want and it's medically safe, you could get out here and maybe maybe do a little work, or not here, but whatever it is that interests you. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I continued doing what I wanted to do even though I was in a sling. So I'm going to show you guys how to remove some of these prunings, and it's something I had to do last year after my surgery and just slightly before my surgery. So anyway, like my little red ball, it's not for chasing, it's for squeezing. Help you rebuild your muscle after your surgery. It's a little ridiculous though, I will say. All right, let me get my gloves on, get this turned around, and I'll show you guys how to get that taken care of. All right guys, I'm not going to show you the whole deal. I will talk a little bit just about what this involves. So basically, if you're injured in some way, you should have something to help support you, something that the doctors give you to give you a little bit of protection from the environment, right? And so for this, they want this arm to stay immobile. They don't want it to move. And I don't want it to move when it was hurt, because when it was hurt, it hurt when it moved. When it moved at all, it would hurt. So they lock it in there. This is usually a little bit further back, around the elbow, but I got this jacket on, and this Velcro is a little older too, so they'd give you like a new one. Sometimes it's a cast, sometimes it's this. It just depends if it's a broken bone or whatever it is. If it's your leg, same things, right? You might be immobile. You might be in a wheelchair. If it's your back, knock on wood. Knock on wood. I don't really know. Fortunately, I don't. I have seen those back braces and some other things that they do. But if you do get hurt, I hope you can get back to doing what you want to do as quickly as possible. And I'm going to show you how I got back to doing what I wanted to do as quickly as possible. Really within a week, once I had this thing on and I could get up and move around, I was gonna get out here and do something. So I'm gonna go get my pruning shears. I'm gonna show you. I needed some technology. So double-edged sword, right? Sometimes we cuss the tech, but it's also helpful when we really need it. So I'm going to use a battery-powered pruner to help me get this done, and so you guys can see what that's like. Okay, so my arm's in. I'm not going to be using this one. Fortunately for me, I could still use my hand. But I couldn't pull. I couldn't hold things really well. I could just kind of use them for a little bit of support sometimes. So I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so again, I'm using the tech, right? I'm using the battery powered tech. One of the things this is doing is it's preventing this arm from getting worn out. This arm, when this arm's incapacitated, has to do a lot more work. It has to do more work out here. It has to do more work in the house. It has to just do more work in helping me live my life. And so when that happens, you have to make sure that you're protecting the other appendage you got, right? And so I don't want to wear it out. That's number one. Number two, with this, it makes it easier to go in and just prune those heads. I don't really have to hold anything. I'm not worried about something moving away from it. If it does, I can just use this again with very little fatigue. Some of these canes are pretty thick, and so if you're using those manual powered pruning shears, it can get a little difficult. All right, so I'm going to show you, I'm going to go over on the other side of this. I'm going to show you what that looks like from the other side. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to make many more cuts than I need to, because again, this arm that's good, I don't want to be yanking. I don't want to be yanking on this stuff with it. I just want to make as many cuts as I possibly can. That's reasonable, you know. And I got to understand that this is going to take me more time to do. I'm not going to be Speedy Gonzalez here. I'm not going to be very fast. I'm not going to be what is his name? Usain Bolt. I'm not going to be an Usain Bolt. You know, I got to take my time with this. I gotta watch my wires too. That's the other thing. You gotta be a little extra careful as well, because if you mess something up when you're injured, it's gonna take that much longer to fix it. So if I cut this wire here and cut through it, now I've got to figure out how to string that back, or I've got to wait until I'm well, right? And for some people that's not an option, right? You know, even with the shoulders, they don't always come all the way back to good again. So you just have to be aware of that. You want to reduce maintenance as much as possible and reduce wear and tear on yourself when you're injured. Now I've got this carabiner on here. So again, I said I was able to use my fingers, but if I'm not, I can use this, and I can hook this on somewhere, and there it's hanging. Now, the other option that I used is I would actually slide this thing right here. And I would just have it sit there while I went ahead and pulled this stuff off. Okay? So those are two things that you can do. Really three, because once you have this tool, it gets a lot easier. So, and I already had cut those off, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I prune the vine all the way back to its final state. I had some people come out doing some work, and they were like, this isn't what I remember when I was, you know, back on my farm. I get that. This is the first step, you know, through the process. We're just getting everything off of here, but to do the fine prune, yes, we would be moving. Like, here's a 3K spur here. We're not going to keep all three of these. We're going to remove them, and we're probably going to keep the one closest to the cordon right here. This is the cordon, this arm going across here. So what I'm like, this one's kind of straight for me though. I really like that one, but I do have some weak wood right there, so I'll probably cut that out and keep this one. So here we go. I'm going to cut this all the way back to its final state. Let you guys see that, and then that should be good. You guys can probably figure it out from there. Oh, I used my hand to hold it. I wouldn't have been able to do that, so gotta do it the right way here. Okay. I need one bud here. There's my bud. It's underneath there. You can't really see it. I'll zoom in on this when I'm done. I got to come around to the other side to get that one, since I can't really. Maybe I can. Yeah, I just got to be careful. I don't want to get that other one. There we go. Okay. This is the one I want. There's one bud, two buds. I'm going to cut right over the top of that bud. And there we go. I got to clean that up a little bit. That's one I might have to wait on till I'm well, or I get a pair of smaller hand pruners. All right, I got 1, 2 buds. Gonna go right there. I got this one, so I'm going a hand length apart, a little bit more, so that I don't get too much crowding in here. So 2 buds, and then this one's going to get removed. So I should have 2 canes, 2 shoots from there. I should have 2 shoots from there, and I should have 2 shoots from there, and I should have 1 shoot coming out the bottom, running down the wire. Okay, here, I do like the height, but this one is coming out into the row. I'm gonna get rid of that. And I got 1, 2 buds right over that top bud. There we go. Again, I'm not gonna do this with all my vines because I'm kind of risking this vine right now because the weather's getting cold. But I do want to show you guys what it looks like while I have this thing on. Because I'll be honest, I don't really like wearing it all that much, but it's not too bad. It could be worse. Definitely be worse. All right, there we go. Okay, here we go. This one's gonna go. I don't like where it's going. This one's coming back out to the middle. I do like it, so I'm actually going to take that one. There's 1, 2 buds. And I'll zoom in and show you what I mean by 1, 2 buds. So there's 1 bud here. It's going to send a shoot that way. There's another bud here. It's going to send a shoot this way. I kind of wish they were going out to the sides, but the world's not a perfect place. And neither are grapevines. They're like people. They're not perfect. Okay. All right, there we go. And then I got this one, that's weak wood, less than a pencil in thickness, pencil thick. And then this, all right, and then 1, 2, right there. And I wanna watch my irrigation line because again, I don't wanna have to be repairing it while I'm injured, if I don't have to. And if I have to, there are ways to get it done, but I don't wanna have to. Okay, and then this one I would do the same way. All right, so this is what it looks like when it's the rough prune, and some of these ends are kind of jacked up, so I could help the vine out a little bit and like clean them up just a hair, so reduce disease possibility. But then that's what it should look like when it's all said and done. Okay, and I'll probably retie this when I get a chance. Okay, all right, so that's how it should look when it's done. This is how it looks with the rough prune, and again, the reason for that is because I can take these canes and make new vines if I want to. It also protects it from frost somewhat. Okay, because if it gets cold late in the season, it'll bud out here. The frost might kill it back, and then I can go down here and cut it, and then I've got a fresh shoot. All right, let me zoom in on these vines for you and show you the difference in the rough and the final prune. And then, you know, I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I think you guys understand how that works. Just setting that thing in there. You know, you got to watch out for your blades and whatnot. I did take the time to put a glove on this hand, and you know, fortunately I could use my hand. Some of you guys who have had this happen may not be able to use your hand because you might have torn something else. But it can be done, okay? And I hope you guys saw that. Like it can be done. You gotta be a little slower. You gotta be a little bit more engaged and mindful of what you're doing, because you don't want to create more problems for yourself or for the vines, okay? Or for the maintenance of the vineyard, or for whatever it is you're doing, okay? So be careful when you're injured. Talk to your doctor, but there are pretty cool tools that are available that can help you get back to living life the way you want. With a little bit of creativity, you can probably, you know, get back to doing some of the fun stuff you like to do and make life worth living. All right, love you guys. All right, you have a good day. Oh, I gotta show you this, okay? I gotta show you the spurs. All right, give me a second. All right, guys, let me show you this. So this is the rough pruning, okay? Each one of these little buds, each one of those little buds, see if I can get a good image of it. Ugh. that little thing right there. It's all getting all blurry because it's moving around. Let me see if I can hold it still. This right there, that's a bud. Okay, that, it's real windy today, so the camera's not liking the vibration in the vine. But each one of these buds can be a shoot with fruit, or it can be a root. If it's in the ground, it's going to be a root. If it's in the air, it's going to be a shoot. Okay? And there are 3 possible shoots inside that bud because there are 3 different buds in that bud. There's a primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary bud, that bud comes out with usually 2 or 3 clusters on it. Okay, it's the most fruitful bud. The second bud comes out and it may or may not have a cluster on it. The third comes out and that's your tertiary shoot. That is a life support system. So why does it have 3 different shoots? Well, they're all life support systems, but really you're on your final life support system if you get to that tertiary bud. Okay? What happens is these bud out and the weather happens. You know, as they say, crap happens. Okay? Except, you know, different word there. All right? It happens, and so when that happens, the bud might get knocked off. So late spring freeze comes in, knocks that shoot off. You lost your clusters, but you get a second shoot that springs out, that buds out. And then that one may have a cluster or not. So you've got reduced crop load at that point. Now, if hail comes along and beats down the vines in the vineyard, you're going to lose that shoot too. Now you need a third one. And that third one will come on late in the season if those 2 previous things happen. Sometimes they come on anyway for odd reasons, but they are there. They won't have fruit. I don't think they ever have fruit. I've never seen them with fruit. Not even a tiny cluster or anything like that. But maybe some of you guys can prove me wrong. So anyway, so I keep multiple of these because essentially I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 buds there. Well, with 4 buds, I can have 2 buds in the ground, turn it into roots, and 2 buds above the ground, turn it into shoots. Now, it may not work out for that vine because of things I do or things that the vine can or can't do in the pot I plant it in or the soil I put it in. But nonetheless, if I wax the top of this thing when I pull this off of here and I put this in the ground, I can have 2 buds in the ground, 2 buds out. And really all I need is 1 in, 1 out, and it should turn into another vine, okay, if I take care of it right. So that's why these are here. Also, they're going to bud out. They have what's called apical dominance, and they're going to bud out at the ends of the canes. So they're going to bud out here. So if I see when we get to March that it looks like we have another frost coming, I'm going to leave them like this, even though they might be budded out a little bit, because these buds down here will not have done anything. They might only be swelling. And so let's say that late spring frost happens and it knocks these back to secondary buds. Well, now I still have these down here that I can use. Okay, and they haven't even budded out yet. Their primaries are still tucked away in the bud. So then I can come along, cut it off, remove what got damaged by the environment, and I get my fruit back. Okay, here, this vine is vulnerable because it doesn't have those long canes in there anymore. But I went ahead and I'm going to show you guys how I go back to 2 bud spurs. So here I've got 1 bud, 2 buds, and this base bud down here usually doesn't have any fruit or anything on it. So once it starts budding out, if it even does anything, I'll just knock it off and then let this bud push and let this bud push. Okay, and I did that with all of them. They're all 2 bud spurs. All right. Okay, so that's how we train our vines out here. This is a rough pruning, and this is the final pruning. Right? This final pruning will happen everywhere else in the vineyard, probably the first week in March, last week in February, depending on what the weather's looking like. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I did. I didn't enjoy being back in this sling, though. I really want to I'm ready to get out of it, guys. I gotta be honest, but I'm gonna go put it up. Knock on wood. Hopefully, I'll never need it again. But just in case, you know, I got it around. And you know, I did this playing hockey, so it was my own damn fault. But I wouldn't change it for the world. That was hockey's a good time, guys. Okay, hockey is a good time, and I might even eventually go back to it. We'll see. We'll see. All right, you guys have a nice day. I hope you guys enjoy that. Get out there, do something you love to do, and have fun doing it. And when you start knowing a little bit about it, share it. You don't have to be perfect at it. I'm not perfect at this. Okay. I don't think there is anybody in the world that's perfect at this. There's some that are a lot better than me, but they're growing on a large estates with large teams and lots and lots. Okay. I'm trying to show you guys how to do this with just the money you may be getting from your service to your community. Okay, trying to keep it as cheap and practical as possible. So if this is something that you want to do, you know, I hope you're taking a look, going, oh yeah, you know, my dreams don't have to be the big chateau on the top of the mountain. No, you can do something like this right out here. 1 acre of land. Okay, you could do this on a ½ acre of land. That planting over there is really only 1/3 of an acre. So you can make something happen if you're wanting to get into this. If you're wanting to get into something else, there are ways. You know, it takes work. We've been at this for 10 years. Okay, this is our 11th year. So it takes work, and it doesn't start big. We started off with just 50 vines on the other side of that property over there. You know, and then there are things that happen in life that are going to challenge you and try to determine how much you really want to do something. And one of those times for me was this. It happened twice. It's very hard to take care of something like that when you're dealing with an injury, but it does also show you how much you really do enjoy it. Because if I didn't enjoy this, when this shoulder went, that would have gone too. I promise you. And I think that's that way with most people. They really learn what's valuable to them in their lives when they're hurt. But I hope you're never hurt. And if you ever do get hurt, I hope you can get back to doing what you want to do. And I hope this video helps show you that there are ways to do that. All right. Love you guys. Thank you guys. If you like this content, please click subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Comment on it. Comment if you have another way, or if you have questions about this, if you have questions about my experience, if there are things that you want to see done with this sling that I didn't talk about. Whoops. I just dropped my pruning shear because I could move my arm. Anyway, so if there are things about this experience that you want to know more about and how I managed the vineyard when I was having it, let me know. Okay. I'll be glad to share it. I can be an open book on some of those things. I just need to know the question. Okay. All right. You guys have a nice day. Bye for now.